South Pacific title. And here is Ollie Reformado from the Philippines, only 18 years old, the leading qualifier in this year's tournament, and he will have one practice ball on each of the two lanes.
Yes, Ollie, a member of the FIQ youth team in 1982 for the Philippines, and he won the Masters title in that tournament, and he beat a two-time World Cup champion, Paying Nepomukino, to win this trip to Australia. So a big-time bowler. He's only been bowling for 5 years. At 18 years of age, the youngest man in the tournament, and a real pleasure to watch. We're going to enjoy this match.
He's a very deliberate bowler, isn't he, Steve? He stands for quite some time at the back of the approach, seems to study the pins. Tremendous concentration. I'll get that word out in a moment. Tremendous concentration from this young fellow. And that's the second of his two practice balls. Well, Ian Bradford, by the way, by beating Brian Bridges, can finish no better than in second place in this tournament, which means he has won the trip to the World Cup tournament in Holland to represent Australia.
Yes,
that
that's
trip
true.
Goes to the leading Australian in this tournament, which means that Ian Bradford now will represent Australia in the World Cup in Holland in November.
Yes, that's true. I just realised that myself. And of course, if Ollie wins the tournament, then Ian will still represent Australia, and Ollie will win a trip to the American Bowling Congress Masters in America next year, and that'll be a great experience for him. So that's
well, here's the first ball of the two-game series. And now the first one from Ian Bradford.
Just while we're waiting for Ian to take off, the other finishers in the tournament: in fourth place, Terry Wenban of Sydney with a 211 average. Fifth was Ken Bird of Queensland with a 202 average. And sixth, Jim Ferguson of the Gold Coast with a 204 average. Well, that's Bradford's first ball, an 8 count. And Reformado.
Well, Ollie Reformado had 2 games of 237 in the match play today, and he finished with an average of 206, which is pretty good bowling in anybody's language.
Bradford covered the spare. 6-10. Ollie's mother, Lolit Reformado, came to Australia with her son. She only just missed the cut in the ladies' tournament, and she's bitten her fingernails right down to the bone, I think, John, watching Ollie bowl in the last 2 days. With strikes like that, why not? He's a tremendous competitor.
Ollie Reformado, 20 in the first frame with a strike in the second.
Right into the 1-2 pocket. Beautiful shot. That ball has so many revs on it. You couldn't count them. Bradford. Well, that's almost a copybook strike. Yes, beautiful shot.
Now Reformado, left-hander.
Notice, John, that he's got those white things in his finger holes there. They're grips that help you grip the ball better.
Just a little bit straight on that time, Steve, onto the head pin.
Yes, he hasn't made an adjustment there yet. He did that in the practice shot and hasn't found the range on that lane yet. Bradford knows he's got a tough man here to beat. And let's have another look at that one. That was a ripper. Watch this ball go into the head pin. It takes the 5 pin. The ball hits the 5 pin now and shoots it across the deck. Lots of pin action. Reformado going for the 4-7.
So Reformado is 40 in the second frame, as against a possible 50 for Bradford. If he can strike again, he's got a double already, going for the turkey, which is 3 strikes in a row.
Interesting to note too, John, that both of these bowlers attend the Dick Ritker bowling clinics. Dick Ritker, a world-famous American professional instructor. He'll be coming to Australia later in the year, and he helped Ollie out in Manila earlier this year. It looks like it's done him a lot of good. Well, Bradford couldn't make 3 strikes, only an 8 count on the first ball in the 4th, so the difference now, 8 pins. Ollie on 40 and Bradford on 48.
They're the second frame scores.
Oh, what a ball that was.
So that's 60 for Ollie Reformado in the 3rd frame with a strike in the 4th.
Watch this ball go into the pocket. The 5-pin just takes right off up in the air. He's been doing it all weekend. Everyone's amazed at this young man.
Oh, that was bad luck for Bradford.
Unbelievable.
That's going to make a big difference if Ollie can strike again. He's already 60 in the 3rd frame with a strike in the 4th. And that open frame means Bradford is 76 in the 4th frame.
Ollie studying the approach. There's boards in the approach also, and you make an adjustment if you don't get strikes. He's just trying to tell himself now to nice slow push away. That's it. Out on the lane. Still hasn't found the range on that lane, but he'll be at least 3, maybe 4 pins ahead of Bradford in the 4th frame.
Yes, he's a possible 80 in the 4th, as against Bradford's 76 in the 4th.
Well, Bradford perhaps a little unfortunate not to strike there. Left the 9-pin. Shouldn't have any problems with the spare. And Ollie, a high push away, gets the ball right out on the lane. Big follow through. I noticed the 4 Filipinos that we had here on the weekend all show a vastly different style to Australian bowlers. Although Ian follows through pretty well too, but generally speaking, Australian bowlers let the ball go and they don't follow the shot through. But let's have another look at Ollie this time. You watch where his hand finishes up.
Ollie has a lead of 4 pins now in the 4th frame, 80 against 76. Both have spares in the 5th.
That looks good.
Yes.
Ollie talks to the pins too. I don't know whether any of the people heard that yet. He said hook. It certainly did. Watch this hook.
Well,
look
that's
at those revs.
100 to Ollie in the 5th frame, as against a possible 96 for Bradford.
Good ball from Bradford.
Yes, 96 in the 5th frame to Bradford. 100 to Ollie Reformado. Both have strikes in the 6th.
And there's Bradford's ball. Plenty of revs on it too, right in the pocket. Takes the 7-pin last. The winner of this match, in cash terms, well, if it's Ollie, he'll receive a $2,500 gift certificate. And if it's Bradford, well, of course, it's a cash. And the loser gets $1,500. Well, he sped up a little bit that time to try and stop the ball hooking to the right of the head pin, and he sped up too much and missed the head pin completely.
That could make a difference. Bradford can strike here.
Bradford very determined. And that's a Brooklyn hit, but didn't get a strike. Ian failed to throw that ball out far enough on the lane, and it ran away from him. And Ollie needs to spare this difficult little foursome of pins. Covered it well. Perfect placement for the spare shot.
So he's 120 in the 6th frame, as against a possible 116, which it is. Still 4 pins the difference. 116 to 120. Both have spares in the 7th.
4 pins the difference. 120 to 116. Ollie up on his strike lane. He's had 3 strikes out of 3 shots on this odd-numbered lane, taking his time. Very deliberate bowler. Amazing concentration for such a young man. And he's, well, almost struck again. That was a pretty good ball all the same.
Yes, it was looking good, wasn't it, along the lane?
Well, let's see what happened. A little bit too light. The head pin hit the 6 pin, hit the 5 pin, but just couldn't quite get that 10 pin that stood up. Bradford now can pick up one of those 4 pin deficits with a strike, but no, wait a minute, what's happening?
He's left the baby split, the 310.
Yes, almost took it out before the machine grabbed it. Ollie going ball right across the lane. That's the way to go for those corner pins. Always use as much of the lane as possible. Never stand in front of those corner pins. Shoot across the lane and you'll get them most of the time. Well, Bradford has got a difficult one here because he moved that 3 pin.
Oh, and he's opened the frame. Well, that gives Ollie Reformado an advantage. That's 143 to Bradford in the 8th frame, as against a possible 159 for Ollie Reformado. If he can strike here, there'll be a difference of 16 pins. Well, the difference is 14 pins. He's 157, Ollie Reformado. 157 in the 8th frame, as against 143. A lead of 14 pins to Ollie Reformado.
Oh, playing with fire, Ian Bradford. Let's have a look where the ball hit the head pin. Oh, on about the 20th board. He was lucky to get out of that one. 17th board is the strike pocket. Ollie bowling across the lane at the 610. No problems.
He shows plenty of composure for a young fellow, doesn't he?
Yes, he exudes the confidence, John, but I spoke to him after he made the cut last night. He only just made the cut too before the match play started this morning, and he was petrified. He had to go home to the motel. He didn't feel too well after just getting it, and that was Bradford's spare. He missed that in the first match against Bridges, but still came back to win.
Ollie Reformado looking quite good for this first game. He's now bowling in the 10th frame. That looks good. Yes, strike all the way. 177 in the 9th frame with a spare in the 10th.
Right in the pocket. Crash. Oh, yes. Well, Ian's in a bit of trouble now. $1,000 the difference between first and second.
That's 162 to Bradford in the 9th frame. The difference there of 15, but Ollie Reformado has a strike in the 10th. If he can strike out from here, he scores a 207. One more strike for a 207.
No, that's out the window.
Yes.
Yes, when Ollie takes too big a first step, he'll get up there too quickly, and consequently the ball won't come up to the head pin, as we've seen just then.
Well, he's in the 190s. He's a possible 197.
Bradford shooting across the lane at the 10 pin. Well, he was 19 pins behind Bridges. I wonder if he can do it in the second game. $1,000 the difference between first and second. We've already determined that Ian will be representing Australia, whether he wins the match or not. But $1,000 is a lot of reasons to try and win the match.
Yes, there's a 197 for Ollie Reformado, 197 as against a possible 182.
Ian, oh yes.
And it is a 182, so it's only 15 pins the difference. Ollie Reformado, 15 pins in front after the first of the 2 games.
Let's have another look at Bradford's. That's what he has to do in the next game. He has to get quite a few of those.
Well, as you've said, Steve, he came from behind to win the first match against Brian Bridges. He was 19 pins behind going into the second game in that match. He's 15 behind going into the second game against the leading qualifier, Ollie Reformado. Well, can Ollie hold on?
He looked pretty solid in that game. Still hasn't found the range on the even-numbered lane, and Bradford. Well, Bradford's oh, how did that stand? Let's have a look. What happened? One of the unexplained. Well, yes, there it goes. The 4-pin flew around the back of the 7. Most unfortunate. Reformado. This is his strike lane. Let's see how it looks. Yes, a winner there.
That's a good start for the young Filipino. So Bradford spares the first frame. Ollie Reformado has a strike in the first frame.
Good to see the young people coming up through the sport. 22 and an 18-year-old in the finals. We had 49-year-old Joe Velo, a 3-time winner of the South Pacific Classic, in the finals today, but he finished around about 10th. Well, that was a...
Oh, and he's left a nasty one there, the 5-7.
Yes, that was a wild shot. The ball went to the right of the head pin, well right. And no mix on the ball from that angle. So Bradford now a chance to catch up some of the leeway. He really needs a strike.
Well, he's 18 in the first frame with a spare, and then 8 pins down in the second frame. 18 to Bradford. Ollie Reformado needs these 2 for a 20. No, he's satisfied with 1. So he's got a first frame score of 19 and a second frame score of 28. That open frame, just the 9 pins counting. The 9 pins knocked down with the 2 balls.
Bradford shooting across lane at the 6-10 and covered it well. So he's caught up, well, maybe 10 of those 15 pins deficit. So very close match here for the 18th South Pacific Championship.
Yes, he's a possible 38. Bradford a possible 38 in the second frame. Reformado is 28 in the second frame. So he needs a strike.
Yes, a lot of fans in the audience.
Yes. From the moment it left his hand, that strike was on.
Look at this. Brings the ball up very, very late. Beautiful shot. Bradford in the third frame. Yes! 5 pins the difference in this 2-game total pinfall match. 15 pins behind Bradford, and he struck then with that ball. Deep pocket hit. He's 38 in the second frame. Ollie is 28, both with strikes in the third. And Bradford scored up 10 of his deficit. Ollie looking for a double. Just concentrate, he's saying. Well, that was about the best shot he's bowled on the even-numbered lane. He really hasn't found the range there yet, but that was a pretty good shot. It came up to the pocket, just a little bit light. Left the 10 pin again. Bradford now with a chance to go up for the first time in this match. Oh, that's outside of the range. A little bit too eager to get rid of the ball that time. He got rid of it very early.
And he's left, I think that's called the picket fence, Steve, is it?
Yes.
1, 2, 4 and 7. A straight line of pins.
Looks
from
like
the
a
centre
picket
to the
fence.
back corner.
Reformado going for the 10 pin, shoots right across the lane, and 48 now in the third frame. Bradford needs to get the spare to stay 5 pins behind.
Yes, no problem.
And Bradford does get that spare. 5 pins the difference. 8 frames to go.
5 pins the difference overall. In this second game, it's 58 Bradford against 48 Ollie Reformado. In the third frame, a difference in this game of 10 pins, meaning, of course, that Bradford has picked up 10 of those 15 that he was behind after the first game.
No, that one didn't come up.
Ian Bradford.
Come on, Bradford, get it out. He's not lifting it out far enough on the lane. He's caught up another pin all the same, so only 4 pins behind. The ball's rolling too late. He's got to get the ball further out on the lane to allow it to hook later. Reformado just makes that spare. He almost took the 3 pin off the front of that back pin, but it spared it for him. 4 pins the difference.
There's 77 against 66 in the fourth frame of the second game. Ian Bradford 77, Ollie Reformado 66, a difference of 11, cutting down that deficit to 4.
These two young men, the end result of 7,500 entries during the qualifying rounds of this tournament. They've been held throughout Australia in 51 bowling centres since January. 7,500 entries. And these two men,
yes.
The end result, and Ollie a strike.
And a late ball of the 10 pin. I think that's his first strike on that lane, isn't it, Steve?
Yes, it is.
Well, that's going to help Ollie Reformado.
Well, it gave him back a pin, and Bradford not getting the ball out far enough. Rather lucky there to break up the split, as you can see. And 5 pins the difference. Ollie leading. They're into the bottom of the 6th frame. So Bradford getting desperate. Oh.
That was nearly into the gutter.
Lucky that lane. Sorry, John. Lucky that lane wasn't another couple of inches longer. Let's have a look at this. It just hits it as it falls off.
Now Reformado with a strike in the 6th frame. That's a study in concentration.
Bit of violent pin action there behind the 7 pin, but nothing hit it. Let's have a look at the pins. Zoom around that 7 pin at the back. Bradford. Ah, that's a better ball. Yes, that looked good all the way. He really lifted that out onto the lane. Maybe he can hear the comments.
Maybe. Well, Bradford is now 116 in the 6th frame, as against a possible 106.
It's a hard pin for Ollie because he hooks the ball so much.
Oh, yes.
He's thrown it in the gutter.
Well, there's an open frame. He's 114 in the 7th frame.
And
now this gives Bradford a real advantage.
Yes, it fell down the gutter quite a long way before the pin.
And that one could cost him the title. That open frame gives him 114 as against a possible 126 here.
Oh, how did that stand up? Left the 9-pin.
I should have said that was as against a possible, well, it's now a possible 136 in the 7th frame for Bradford. Oh, yes, that one looked good.
Beautiful shot under pressure.
So Bradford has 136 in the 7th frame, which puts him in front by 7 pins. Bradford now leading by 7 pins overall. So he's picked up those 15 plus 7 more.
Well, Reformado taking his time now. He knows to win the trip to America, he has to win this tournament. And he needs a double right now. Geeing himself up. It's quite a large Filipino contingent of supporters here this afternoon, and he is a popular player. He said, don't worry. Don't worry, Ollie, he's saying to himself. There's still a bit of room. Bradford, meanwhile, can't lose the trip to the World Cup, but could lose $1,000 difference in prize money, so he needs a strike on this ball.
And he's got it. So Bradford well on the way now. 156 in the 8th frame.
Beautiful shot by Bradford. Look at this. Yes. Got to cover the spare.
Oh, and he's opened that frame, Reformado. That just about puts the lid on it.
Bradford, the look of a contented man there, I think, John.
Yes, I think so. He's 156 in the 8th frame with a strike in the 9th. And in the 9th frame, Ollie Reformado was 142. 142 as against a possible 186 in the 9th. Well, he's now down to a possible 176 in the 9th frame, which would still be a lead of some 34 pins, wiping out the deficit of 15. So that'll be a lead of 19 overall for Ian Bradford. And a strike coming a little bit too late, I think, for Ollie Reformado.
Well, not yet. Bradford's got to spare the 10-pin. There's the strike. Let's have a look at Bradford now. He must spare the 10-pin to win the tournament. Needs the spare. And he's got it.
Yes, he's got it.
New South Pacific winner.
Well, he's 176 in the 9th. A possible 196 game coming up for Ian Bradford.
That's a ball that Bradford will remember for a long time. Can't lose the tournament now. $2,500 and a trip to Holland for the World Cup in November. And what a great performance this young man's put up. He's a potential bowling World Cup winner if I've ever seen one.
Well, the games in these grand finals, by no means their highest, but the pressure, the tension has been right on. And there's a game of 196 for Bradford, a total of 378 for the 2 games. And for Ollie Reformado, this is the final delivery. and another strike. Struck out in the 10th frame for a total of 172 and an overall tally of 369. So it's a 9-pins win over the 2 games to Ian Bradford of Victoria, the 1982 men's South Pacific champion. And of course, Ian Bradford as the winner, and even if he hadn't won this final match as the leading Australian, he of course has won the trip to Holland to represent Australia in the World Cup in November. Ian Bradford, the winner of the TAA South Pacific Classic of 1982.